Imagine this. You're standing in front of your entire prehistoric tribe. Everything is going perfectly. Then, someone points at you. You suddenly feel your face getting warmer. A few seconds later, everyone can see it. Your cheeks have turned bright red. The strange part, you never chose to do it. You couldn't stop it. And somehow, everyone instantly knew exactly how you felt. Out of the millions of animal species on Earth, humans are virtually the only ones whose emotions can suddenly paint their face bright red. Why would evolution create such an embarrassing feature? After all, if survival depends on hiding weakness, why would your own body publicly announce that you're nervous, or ashamed, or attracted to someone? It sounds like one of evolution's biggest mistakes. But what if blushing wasn't a mistake at all? What if it became one of the hidden superpowers that allowed humans to build trust with complete strangers long before cities, long before writing, long before civilization itself? Today, we're going to discover why one of the most embarrassing moments in your life may actually be one of evolution's greatest social inventions. Imagine you're living 200,000 years ago. No police, no courts, no written laws, no internet, no reputation websites. Every single day, your survival depends entirely on one thing: whether other people trust you. If your tribe believes you're honest, they'll hunt with you, share food, protect your children, watch your back. But if they think you're lying or hiding something, you might be left behind. For early humans, being rejected by your group could easily become a death sentence. That creates a fascinating evolutionary problem. How can anyone prove they're genuinely embarrassed, or sorry, or nervous? Words can lie. Faces can fake smiles. But evolution found something much harder to fake: your own nervous system. And that tiny biological accident may have changed human society forever. Picture yourself trying to hide an embarrassing mistake. Maybe you accidentally dropped a spear in front of everyone. Maybe you misunderstood an important hunting plan. Maybe you said something foolish. The first thing you want to do is pretend nothing happened. But your body has completely different plans. Before you can control your expression, before you can think of an excuse, your autonomic nervous system has already taken over. The same system that controls your heartbeat, your breathing, and your pupils suddenly sends a powerful signal through your body. Tiny muscles wrapped around blood vessels in your face begin to relax. The vessels widen. Blood rushes toward the surface of your skin. Within seconds, your cheeks, your ears, sometimes even your neck, turn noticeably red. The incredible part is that this happens without your permission. You can't simply decide not to blush. You can't order your blood vessels to stay closed. Your conscious brain isn't in charge anymore. The reaction happens automatically. Scientists call this vasodilation. It's controlled by the sympathetic nervous system, one of the oldest biological control systems in the human body. Ironically, the same nervous system that prepares you to survive danger is also responsible for making your embarrassment visible to everyone around you. At first glance, that seems completely irrational. Why would evolution expose your emotional state? Instead of helping you hide it, wouldn't it be safer if nobody knew you were nervous, or guilty, or ashamed? For a long time, many scientists wondered exactly the same thing. Because blushing appears to make us more vulnerable. It advertises weakness. It attracts attention. And sometimes, it makes embarrassing moments even worse. But then researchers began looking beyond the individual and started asking a different question. What if blushing wasn't designed to protect you? What if it evolved to protect the entire group? That simple shift in perspective changes everything. Because humans didn't become successful by surviving alone. We survived by trusting each other. And trust depends on something surprisingly rare in nature: honest signals. Signals that are extremely difficult, or even impossible, to fake. Blushing may be one of the most honest signals evolution ever created. Imagine two hunters returning to camp after a long day. The first quietly claims, "I never scared the herd away." The second says exactly the same thing. Their words are identical. But then, one hunter suddenly blushes. His face turns bright red. He avoids eye contact. His breathing changes. His voice becomes slightly shaky. The entire tribe notices no one needed a confession. His own body had already spoken. This illustrates something fascinating about human evolution. Our ancestors constantly had to judge one another. Who could be trusted? Who would share food fairly? Who would stay loyal during dangerous hunts? Who might betray the group? Making the wrong decision could cost lives. Natural selection strongly favored individuals who became better at detecting genuine emotions. At the same time, it also favored honest individuals whose behavior made cooperation easier. This created what biologists call an evolutionary arms race. Some people became better at hiding their emotions. Others became better at reading them. Over thousands of generations, our brains became astonishingly skilled at noticing tiny emotional cues. A slight change in someone's voice, a brief hesitation, a subtle facial expression, or a face turning bright red. Psychologists call this costly signaling. A costly signal is believable because it is difficult to fake or difficult to suppress. Think about a peacock's enormous tail. It is expensive to grow, hard to carry, easy for predators to spot. Precisely because it is costly, it becomes an honest signal of health. Blushing may work in a surprisingly similar way. It isn't costly because it uses a lot of energy. It's costly because it makes you socially vulnerable. The moment your face turns red, you lose control of the message. Everyone around you gains information you never intended to reveal. That vulnerability is exactly what gives blushing its credibility. If people could switch blushing on and off whenever they wanted, it would become meaningless. Instead, your nervous system reacts before your conscious mind can invent a story. In evolutionary terms, that's an incredibly reliable signal. And reliable signals are the foundation of trust. Without trust, large human societies could never exist. But here's where the mystery becomes even deeper. If blushing is such a useful social signal, why don't chimpanzees do it? Or wolves? Or elephants? The answer lies hidden beneath our skin. At first, blushing doesn't seem very special. After all, many animals can become excited. Their hearts race. Their breathing changes. Their bodies release adrenaline. So why don't we see a wolf's cheeks suddenly turning red? Or a chimpanzee blushing after making an embarrassing mistake? The answer begins with something surprisingly simple. Skin. Human skin is unlike that of almost every other mammal. Most mammals wear a thick biological blanket. Fear? That fur is excellent for staying warm, excellent for protection. But it's terrible if your body wants to send visual signals through the skin. Imagine trying to watch someone smile through a heavy winter coat. That's essentially the problem. Even if another mammal experienced a similar increase in blood flow, dense fur would hide almost everything. Humans, however, took a very different evolutionary path. As our ancestors gradually lost most of their body hair, our skin became one of the most visible surfaces in the animal kingdom. Not only could it release heat more efficiently through sweating, it also became an enormous communication screen. Tiny changes in blood flow, changes that would be completely invisible beneath thick fur, suddenly became easy to see, especially on the face. Our cheeks, nose, ears, and neck contain an unusually rich network of tiny blood vessels located very close to the skin's surface. When those vessels widen, even slightly, the change becomes surprisingly obvious, but that's only half of the story. The other half sits inside your brain. Humans evolved extraordinary abilities for reading faces. Long before spoken language became complex, our ancestors were already experts at recognizing emotion. A raised eyebrow, a tightened jaw, a frightened stare, a tiny smile, or a face slowly turning red. Your brain processes these signals astonishingly fast, often before you're consciously aware of them. Modern neuroscience suggests that specialized brain regions continuously evaluate facial expressions, eye direction, and emotional cues to help us predict another person's intentions. In other words, evolution didn't just make blushing easier to see, it also built brains that became exceptionally good at noticing it. That's an extraordinary combination. One adaptation made emotional signals more visible. Another adaptation made observers better at detecting those signals. Together, they transformed the human face into one of the most sophisticated communication systems ever produced by evolution. And that raises another fascinating question. If blushing helps us communicate honestly, Why does it happen most often during embarrassment, rather than fear? The answer reveals something even deeper about what makes us human. Imagine you're walking alone through the prehistoric savannah. A lion suddenly appears. Your heart races. Your muscles tense. Your pupils widen. You prepare to run. Now imagine something completely different. You're standing around the evening campfire. Everyone is laughing together. Then, you accidentally trip over a log and fall flat on your face. No lion, no danger, no predator. Yet your heart suddenly races again. Your face grows hot, and within seconds, you're blushing. Why? Both situations activate your nervous system, but they solve completely different problems. Fear protects you from predators. Embarrassment protects you from people. That distinction may sound strange today, but for our ancestors, social rejection could be just as deadly as a hungry lion. A lone human on the African savannah had very little chance of surviving. No one to hunt with, no one to share food, no one to watch for danger while you slept. Being accepted by your group wasn't simply pleasant, it was essential. This is why psychologists often describe embarrassment as a social emotion. Unlike fear, embarrassment only exists because other people exist. You don't usually blush when you're completely alone. You blush because someone else is watching, or because you imagine they are. Even remembering an embarrassing moment from years ago can make your face warm again. Your brain doesn't need an audience standing in front of you. Sometimes, it can create one entirely inside your imagination. This reveals something remarkable. Your social brain is constantly predicting how other people see you. It asks questions like, did I look foolish? Did I break a social rule? Did I damage someone's trust? The moment the answer might be yes, your nervous system reacts automatically, not to protect your body, but to protect your relationships. Researchers have repeatedly found that people who blush after making an honest mistake are often judged more positively than people who remain completely unemotional. Why? Because blushing communicates something without words. It silently says, I know something went wrong. I care what you think. I didn't mean to do this. Those messages help repair trust. And trust was one of the most valuable resources early humans ever possessed. In that sense, blushing isn't a sign of weakness. It's evidence that your brain evolved to care deeply about cooperation. And cooperation, more than claws, more than teeth, may have become humanity's greatest survival strategy. But there's one final mystery. If blushing helps us build trust, why do some people blush far more easily than others? If blushing is such a useful evolutionary tool, why doesn't everyone blush the same way? Some people seem to turn bright red after the smallest compliment. Others can give a speech in front of thousands and barely change color at all. Did evolution make a mistake? Probably not. The answer begins with a simple idea. Evolution rarely builds identical humans. Variation is one of its greatest strengths. If every member of an ancient tribe behaved exactly the same way, the entire group would become vulnerable to the same dangers. Instead, natural selection produced a wide range of personalities. Some individuals became naturally cautious. Others became bold explorers. Some were highly sensitive to social approval. Others cared much less. Blushing appears to be part of that spectrum. Scientists believe several factors influence how easily someone blushes. Genetics, skin tone, blood vessel sensitivity, hormonal responses, and perhaps most importantly, the way the brain processes social attention. One tiny region deep inside your brain plays an especially important role: the amygdala. Think of it as one of the brain's emotional alarm systems. It constantly scans the world for situations that might matter. Sometimes, that danger is physical, a predator, a sudden loud sound, a falling tree. But very often for humans, the danger is social. Everyone is looking at you. You made a mistake. Someone important is judging you. When the amygdala interprets a situation as socially significant, it rapidly activates the autonomic nervous system. Your heart beats faster, your breathing changes, and your facial blood vessels begin to widen. The entire process can begin before you're even fully aware of what's happening. That's why trying to tell yourself, don't blush, usually has the opposite effect. The moment you start worrying about blushing, your brain treats that worry as even more social attention, which makes the reaction even stronger. Psychologists sometimes call this the blushing feedback loop. You blush. You notice you're blushing. You worry that everyone else notices. And that anxiety causes even more blushing. It can feel almost impossible to stop. But here's something fascinating. The very people who blush most easily are often also described as highly empathetic, highly cooperative, and especially sensitive to other people's feelings. In other words, the same brain that makes someone blush more easily may also help them build stronger social relationships. What feels like an embarrassing weakness today may once have been an important social advantage. And that brings us to one final realization. Perhaps blushing was never really about embarrassment. Perhaps it was always about something much bigger. Trust? Imagine meeting a complete stranger. No shared family. No shared tribe. No history together. No reason to trust each other. For most animals, that's where the interaction ends. But humans did something extraordinary. We learned to cooperate with individuals we'd never met before. Trade with them. Travel with them. Build villages with them. Eventually. Build civilizations with them. That ability didn't appear overnight. It was built on millions of tiny social interactions. Every honest apology, every sincere expression of regret, every visible sign that someone cared about the group's opinion, blushing became part of that invisible social language. Not because it solved every conflict, but because it quietly increased the probability of trust. Evolution rarely creates perfection. Instead, it favors traits that work just well enough, often enough, to improve survival over thousands of generations. Blushing is a perfect example. It can feel inconvenient, awkward, even humiliating. Yet those same moments reveal something deeply human. They show that your brain values relationships, that your reputation matters, that other people's opinions influence your behavior. Ironically, the very reaction many people wish they could eliminate may be evidence of one of humanity's greatest evolutionary strengths. Without highly social brains, there would have been no large hunting parties, no villages, no agriculture, no cities, no science, no internet, no civilization. Every skyscraper, every hospital, every spacecraft can trace its history back to one simple ability. Humans learned to trust people who were willing to show honest emotion, not perfectly, not always, but often enough to change the course of evolution. And perhaps that's the strangest part of all. Your face doesn't turn red because your body is failing. It turns red because millions of years of evolution transformed your emotions into something other people could see. What feels embarrassing today may once have helped your ancestors survive tomorrow. So the next time your cheeks suddenly become warm, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you might ask a different question. What ancient survival system is still quietly protecting me? Because hidden inside every blush is a story that began long before civilization, long before language, long before history itself. The next time you catch yourself blushing, take a second before wishing it would stop. That sudden rush of color isn't just an awkward moment. It's the visible signature of millions of years of human evolution, a tiny biological reminder that our greatest strength was never just intelligence or strength or speed. It was our ability to live together, to cooperate, to earn trust, and sometimes to let our emotions speak before our words ever could. If this video changed the way you think about something as ordinary as blushing, let us know in the comments. What other everyday human behavior do you think hides an incredible evolutionary story? And if you enjoy exploring the science behind what makes us human, don't forget to subscribe to Sketching Humanity for more journeys into our ancient past. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next exploration of human evolution.